Before we get started with the show, I wanted to talk about the Extreme LOI Makeover. I'm starting to get people that are asking me to help them with their letter of intent. And the way that it works is I help you with 2 letters of intent. You basically pick the very top choice that you have. You write your letter. I have a template for you if you want to use it. I fix it. Again, I don't make recommendations. My fixing it is the recommendation. I'm happy to do up to 2 revisions of each one. And then after you're happy with the first one, then we do the second one. And what we're really doing is showing you how to do something. We're showing you how to write your first one, and then how to make subtle changes so that you don't have to rewrite the whole thing each time. And then I've got a bunch of videos to help you through that. And the big thing is this is really about peace of mind and knowing that you're writing the very best letter you possibly could, and also saving a ton of time because it's amazingly hard to do this. So I usually ask for 1.5 pages worth of content, and then I will cut it down to 1 page, get everything right in terms of spacing and those types of things. But Extreme LOI Makeover, just go to residency.teachable.com/P/extreme LOI, and I will fix the resume or the LOI. And again, what's my background? Well, my undergrad is actually in English, and I was actually going for a PhD in English, but I ended up getting a master's in human-computer interaction, which is basically half English and then half computers. I've got a number of people that have written back to me thanking me for helping them with the residency. You can read a bunch of those to kind of see. And then there's a promo video that can kind of show you what I do in terms of doing it. In terms of turnaround, it really kind of depends. Right now I'm working with people, so we're going to be working throughout the season. But as we kind of get to it, it goes to kind of like 3 days, then 2 days, then 1 day, kind of depending on what you need. But usually I can get it done. So again, that's the Extreme LOI Makeover, and season's starting. We're in first week of August, and getting into that 4th block where you really have now a number of appies under your belt, and you can start thinking about what's my very first choice, and how do I tell them about all the things I did over the last 3 or 4 years in a single page, or if you want 1.5 pages or 2 pages, but usually 1 page is it, and it's amazingly hard to do. So anyway, let's get into the hotels and making sure that you get a great deal there. Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast. Remember the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I wanted to tell you guys how you can get hotel accommodations for $31 plus tax. But that's if you share a room. $62 for the whole room if you want it for yourself. But it actually doesn't really make sense to get 4 people, and I want to show you how to do that. So the first thing is, where is kind of the hotel? And that's going to be Mandalay Bay. It's down here on the very southern part of the Strip. So that's a little bit unfortunate because it means most of the hotels are going to be to the north. And when you look at the other hotels that are kind of in that block, you've got Luxor, which is literally right next to it, which is about $100 a night. Excalibur is the one that's $62 a night for 2 people, but then when you get to 3 people, it adds about $25 or $30. So if you want to be, kind of awake and ready to go, that may not be the best thing to add a 3rd or 4th person, because you're not really saving money. But what you'll see is, as soon as these blocks shut down, the other hotels know this. They know that, you've got all these pharmacists coming in. So let me take a look at Tropicana, for example, which is, it's a little bit further than Excalibur, but you could still get to Mandalay relatively easily, or even New York. But if you look at the Tropicana in terms of their rates, you see that the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th, when everybody's in town, that's going to be $160, $150, $130. But then the next week, $59, $59, $59. So you can see that whatever's in town, whether it's just us, whether the rodeo's in town, whatever else is going on, it's a very expensive week. So you want to make your reservations now. I believe you can cancel up till November 7th without any kind of penalty. You'll have to double check with them. But this is how you do it. You go into hotel reservations for attendees, and then you go into official housing provider, Orchid Events, book a room, indicate that you are an attendee. That's what I'm assuming at least. And then you browse. And so what you want to do, first of all, is you only want to put one guest, because it'll tell you how much it is for the rest of them. But that's the easiest way to kind of figure out, like, to compare apples to apples. And so this is the unfortunate thing, especially for students, is that the blocks start on Sunday night. Okay, so a lot of the student programming is throughout the day on Sunday if you're in SSHP. So let's take a look. And what we'll do is we'll go from Saturday and check out to Thursday. Let's say we're going for the whole week, like a huge number of time. We'll put one room and one guest per room, and then we'll search. Okay, so first let's take a look at the hotels themselves. Of course, Mandalay is the flagship. That's where everything's going to be. Extremely expensive, $214 to $261 a night, plus taxes and fees. Although I believe the resort fee is waived, which is like $45 a night, which is extremely expensive. MGM Grand, they're going to have shuttles from MGM Grand and the Signature at MGM Grand, but again, we're talking $160, $174 a night. The Aria, I don't remember how far away the Aria was. Let's take a look at our map here. Let's see, is it further south? Yeah, I don't know where the... Okay, so the Aria is actually quite far away, all the way up here. That would be a bit of a haul getting down there. You may even need to take an Uber or a Lyft. Okay, so I definitely wouldn't recommend that. At 190, I mean, it's a beautiful hotel. It's just far away. Excalibur, I wanted to show you when you do this to really feel out what the actual price is. It's $170 on Saturday night, so super expensive if you're trying to get in there to be there on Sunday. So that night is really going to cost you. Where Sunday is $62, Monday $62, Tuesday $62. I know many of you are just going for Showcase, and it's reasonable that you would be able to make it to Wednesday. So that's what I've done. I've booked Sunday, Monday, Tuesday at Excalibur just because it's super, super cheap. And then if you even want Wednesday night, that's down to $46. So kind of recognizing that's it. And yeah, I mean, for the amenities that you'll use, it's awesome. So I love that one. Four Seasons, $263. If you are watching this video, you're probably not doing Four Seasons. Luxor is reasonable at $104 to $119.60. But look at the dates, though. You'll notice that when you look at this, 160 is Saturday night again. So about 100 each day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, recognizing most people are coming for Showcase. And then Wednesday all the way down to 66. Just know that they have inclinators rather than elevators. It kind of goes sideways up the pyramid. And then you kind of lose some of your room with this. It's neat, but it is kind of a little bit like being in a loft. But you can kind of see that kind of depending on what you're getting. And then you can kind of push in here, okay, well, what if I decide on 2 people? How much would it be? Oops, I didn't want to actually book it. Okay. And does that change, right? And then you update to 4 people, and you see that it goes all the way up to $873. So that's quite a bit different than when you're talking about just 2 people. Okay, so update, and you see that it really may or may not pay to get to those 4 people in that room. It's usually much less expensive per person to just have those 2 people in there. Kind of going to New York, so that's across the street. 129, a little bit more than Luxor, but if you look at the map, that gets to be a little bit far. It is, I don't know, the Big Apple coaster. Oops, let's kind of bump in there so you can see it. But New York is over here. So you're talking about going down probably. You may even go over to the MGM Grand to get the shuttle to take you down there, and that's kind of a lot of work. If you want a cool place to study, I mean, it's you would actually go to University District, and that's actually where the University of Nevada, Las Vegas is. So if you want to go to the library, there is a place to go. It's amazingly difficult to find a quiet place. But UNLV is a great place to kind of do that, and if you punch in, you can kind of see that stuff. All right, so let's continue. All right, so that's Luxor, New York. Park MGM is pretty close. Cosmopolitan, I think, for as much as it is, and Vidara Hotel, I don't know. Those are pretty expensive, and I'm not sure if that would really gain you anything over the other hotels. All right, well, let's take a look at the schedule for students, and we'll just start there. So when you're talking about students, you're talking about Sunday, December 4th, and the SSHP Leaders Workshop. That means that you got to get there on Saturday, but they didn't really block Saturday for you. I mean, it's there, but 170 is a ton to pay, I think, for the least expensive hotel. So again, you can either come in on an if you can get in on a red eye, that would be great. But SSHP Leaders Workshop, Student Advocacy at the same time. The opening session is at 10 a.m. But again, really kind of unfortunate that the room blocks are not meant for that. So this is more of a you fly in and then you go right to the session. I haven't talked about it, but that's going to be a real issue because the airlines have been significantly unreliable. So if you're hoping to make it on Monday and kind of cut it really tight, you may end up missing the whole showcase day if your flight is canceled or delayed. So I don't know if those things are going to get better by December, but again, that's something to consider. Okay, so forecasts, kind of talking about how it works, and we'll talk about this on the podcast. Then again, kind of another leadership one. This Congrats You Matched is really just kind of taking the mystery out of the match process, which is great. A little bit about finance fundamentals and tips post-graduation. So really we'll dive into this a little bit later in the season, but the big thing is, you're making, the opportunity cost that you have in taking a residency, especially in this area of inflation, versus taking a position with full pharmacist salary. And I'm sure they'll be talking a little bit about that, and then kind of some of the other things. Imposters, students, and so forth. So again, many people reject themselves from residency, saying they can't get one. I think applying for residency should be everybody, and you kind of see if it is for you or isn't for you. But a lot of people reject themselves when they with the right help, they certainly could have gotten a residency. Student Society Showcase. But then Monday, again, I'm really a little bit confused at this. This is, when you talk about the residency showcase, you've got Monday and Tuesday from 1 to 4. So these sessions for students are from 2 to 3 and 3:30 to 4. But the recommendation is that if you are P1, P2, P3, they ask you to wait until around the halfway point, 2:30, to go into the showcase. And I'm just not sure how crazy it's going to be. It has in the past been absolutely insane where you literally see people just, it was 10 minutes. I filmed it once. It was 10 minutes of people going into the hall, and it is absolutely crazy. So if you're smart, you do go in about 20 minutes after the start at 1 o'clock. There's always, what ends up happening is people have like these first 3 or 4 choices that they really want to get to, and then they get there, and then it kind of fizzles out, and then it's plenty of time to talk to people. And then pick me writing a letter of intent that stands out again. This is at the end of the session, so it might be a little bit easier to catch this one. But if you're trying to just go from 1 to 2 and visit, it's going to be crazy. Like, it's super hard to get to talk to anybody in the beginning of those sessions because of the madness, especially since this will be the very first session. And people are just kind of figuring out how it works. So that 1 to 2 period will probably be the most difficult of the entire 3 sessions. And then from 3:30 to 4:30, pick me writing a letter of intent that stands out. Again, that's kind of I'm not doing that session. I will be helping students over that weekend, meeting with them, helping them with their letters one-on-one. But I think it's somebody from the University of Florida that's going to be making that presentation. I would really love to see it. So maybe I'll try to fly in at noon instead of 3 and see if I can check that one out just to see what kind of advice they're giving, and then maybe I could see that one as well. And then these other ones, I just put in student as the kind of search bar there. Okay, and then when you talk about the Monday and Tuesday, so Monday the first session is from 1 to 4, then Tuesday 8 to 11. It is a nightmare to try to get lunch between 11 and 1. Bring your own lunch. I'm absolutely letting you know, like, the lines are, dozens and dozens and dozens of people. It's 2 hours for lunch. You think that would be enough? It absolutely will not be. Even just getting a coffee is incredibly, incredibly difficult. What you could do is go, one door down to Luxor and see if you can find something there. Or you could go up to Excalibur, back to the rooms, whatever. But I'm just letting you know that is absolute madness from 11 to 1. And the other thing is that you don't need to be there at 1 for that Tuesday session. Go at 1:30, go a little bit later, take a little bit more time for lunch. It really does die down after that first hour. It gets so crazy. Because everybody's just so wanting to go visit their first choice and second choice. And they forget that this is the residency showcase, not the residency applicant showcase. So they're talking about themselves. It's not your time to talk about yourself. And it's your time to kind of get to meet everybody. The one thing that I think is really kind of neat about the showcase is that you really get a feel for the type of people that you would be a resident with. So it's like the United Nations going across the country, and it's so neat that some of the kind of larger programs are so different. So you'll see, kind of New Yorkers and Boston in one area, and then, maybe a little more southern down to North Carolina. North Carolina's mid-Atlantic, I guess. Then you go down to deep south, Alabama and Mississippi and those areas, Tennessee. And then there's the Midwest. No inflection at all. And so you get to know them. And something that I made a recommendation to someone, and she actually did it, was she recorded her letter of intent because she was Southern and going to a Southern residency. And when you're just looking at the paper, it really doesn't pop off like that. But when you are someone, Boston Rob coming into Mississippi, or someone from Mississippi going up to Boston, it stands out, and it's really kind of neat. But the other thing is that if you're from around there, it also lets you know that you're one of them. And the match really is, once you get past into the interview, it really is about fit, and it really is about matching much more than it is about your qualifications and things like that. So I don't want to get too far off of that. But anyway, to just kind of sum up, you want to be in this kind of area. If you're going all the way down to South Vegas in Mandalay, the Excalibur, Luxor area, MGM will have the shuttles. But so if you're at here at the MGM and New York, you're probably taking a shuttle all the way down to Mandalay. You'll have to make a little extra time for that. If you've got that kind of money to go to Aria and those, good for you. But I definitely won't be that close. and so forth. And then I didn't look at the NFL. So it looks like the Chargers will be at the Raiders. That is probably why Saturday is so expensive. People are staying overnight Saturday, probably going to leave Sunday night if they're going back to LA. And that's December 4th at 3:25, just during that student programming. And then what really kind of brings a lot of people into town is NFR. So the rodeo is in town from the 1st to the 10th, although they are at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which I think that's over here. I thought they were at Thomas Mack Center. Maybe some of their stuff is at Thomas Mack Center. But let's see, Las Vegas Convention Center. Yeah, so the Las Vegas Convention Center is all the way up north, and when I say all the way up north, I mean talking about 3 or 4 miles. But you're talking about the very top of of the strip. So for the most part, you'll see Mandalay Bay down here. I know that the rodeo has some shopping stuff down here in Mandalay, but it looks like most of the stuff is going to be here. But it's still going to be a lot of people in town. But it looks like SHP is kind of down here. And then NFR, National Finals Rodeo, is going to be up here with most of their stuff up here at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So hopefully it doesn't get in the way too much. But the stadium for the NFL is attached to Mandalay. That's Allegiant Stadium right here. So expect that it is going to be really, really a little bit crazy in that afternoon on Sunday. And then Sunday night it'll probably, as people are kind of leaving Allegiant, at 6 or 7, things will kind of tone down quite a bit. And then it's kind of, okay, now you can have Vegas back or whatever. And that's why those prices are going to go way down. But that's probably why Saturday night is so expensive. All right. But again, I know there are still availability at the most inexpensive is going to be Excalibur, which is 2 hotels away, and then right next door to Mandalay. I mean, you're literally saving more than half by staying at Luxor, which is only $99 a night on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and even a little bit cheaper on Wednesday. I think that was it's going to lock me out. But those are my recommendations. And again, if you got questions about residency and all that stuff, need help with your letter of intent, just hit me up at residency.teachable.com or tonythepharmacist@gmail.com.